This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Andrew Risch, NBA Historian, where we take a break from the current season to have a conversation about assorted players and places and teams, and we do deep dives, mock drafts, rankings. We're just keeping his basketball brain active. Ha ha ha. So, enjoy the show, and thank you for listening.
This little mini-sode came to me thinking about hometown heroes, thinking about people who are from the city, went to school in the city, never left, and then managed to play for their hometown team. Is there anyone you can think of just off the top of your head?
Well, Derrick Rose.
Nope, Derrick Rose does not count.
Oh, because he's not from Chicago?
No, because he went to Memphis.
Because he didn't play in Illinois, I get you.
See, like New Orleans, there's a good 10 teams who nobody qualifies because nobody in New Orleans went to the University of New Orleans.
Yeah, I get what
LSD Baton Rouge to LSU to New Orleans. Yeah, it's technically hometown, but it's not in the city.
Are you talking about active players or all time?
All time. Like
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes to mind.
He was from Brooklyn.
He was not from California?
No, and then he also played. No, he was from. I believe he was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Well, just a name. Kyle Lowry, Pride of Philadelphia. Went to Villanova.
Yes.
Plays for Philly. And this is the first of a list of people who did not leave.
Okay.
And managed to play for their team, and all his family were like, "Oh, there he is. Remember driving by the arena."
Right.
So, again, these are not big names to start off with. So we'll just start kind of. They're going to be obscure. So just if you don't know them,
well, here's the thing: where they're from is obscure. Not always do you know where people grew up. You know.
No, but what this is, once you know the name, there's no guessing. This isn't the. This Is Your Life where you had to guess who it was. We're just going to go over it. First, we're going to go to the A-Town in Atlanta, and the person who represented A-Town, Dion Glover.
Yeah, he played at Georgia Tech.
He was born in Marietta suburbs, went to Ellenwood High School, another suburb, Georgia Tech. 20th pick of the draft.
What I remember about that is that I want to say Glover was there around the same time as another Georgia Tech player played at Atlanta, the late Jason Collier, who died, I believe, of a heart attack.
Yep, he did, and it was funny. He was started off as one of two future first round picks back in '96 for Grant Long and Stacey Augmon in Detroit.
Okay.
Stacey Augmon played a half a year there. Grant Long played 2 years. They gave up 2 firsts for that.
Oh, wow. So Glover played in the late 90s. I thought he played in the 2000s.
Nope. Well, he was a 99 pick. He played for 6 years. Okay. Atlanta was rebuilding, so they had 3 picks that year.
They picked Jason Terry that year, yes.
They got Jason Terry. They got Cal Boulder with that one of those 2 first-round picks, and the third pick was Dion Glover. He spent 4.5 years there, and then they just cut him, and then he bounced around. Interesting fact about him, he's been an assistant coach for the Grand Rapids Drive for 11 years now.
That's associated with the Pistons, right?
Yeah, but it was the G League, and they were, I think, kind of all over, and I don't know. Grand Rapids Drive, aren't they Denver now? Because Detroit has Motor City something.
Maybe so. I've seen some of those G League affiliates have changed allegiances before. So that wouldn't be anything, or changed locations. So that's not something new.
But yeah, I'm content being an assistant coach for the G League.
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about assistant coach, you could do a whole thing about that. Like one of them who's now a pretty good assistant coach is Tiago Splitter, if you remember him. You know,
He went off to be the head coach of Paris basketball for a year and then
right?
came back.
It's amazing when you live long enough to know these players when they played when they were young, and then you see them as assistants on the bench. When they're sitting on the bench, you don't know who the hell they are because you're not paying attention to them. But then you look at the roster and you're like, "Oh my God, that's James Posey!" You know, like
So
it
yeah,
like comes back to you.
he started being an assistant coach in 2014 when they first moved there because they started off as the Anaheim Arsenal, became the Springfield Armor, and then they became the Grand Rapids Drive, and now they're the Grand Rapids Gold again
Okay,
with the Nuggets.
okay, that's a hell of
Ooh,
a send down if you're in Denver. Good Lord, you got
that's
to go from Denver all the way to fucking Michigan.
that's not the just drive down the street.
Right,
Moving on
right.
to moving on to Boston now. Here's a player you probably do know a little better. He was a 5'10 quote unquote point guard, but he really was a shooting guard. Spent 14 years in the league, averaged 10 points, 3.5 assists, born in Boston, went to the Catholic school in the suburbs, went to Boston College, and he was drafted in the 1989 draft to Seattle. He was
Okay,
part of 2 picks with Sean Kemp. I am talking about Dana Barros.
okay. I remember Dana Barros. He was a good shooter. He was known
He
as a
he
good
was
shooter.
he shot 40% from three, and back then when you 40% was a huge.
Every time when I was a kid, if I remember correctly, he was always in the 3-point shootout contest. Always.
Yep, and then he
Him and Mark Price.
again 14-year career in 94 95 he was the most improved player and he was an all-star, and then he was a free agent. What did he do? He signed with his hometown team.
Okay.
I remember him, just like you said, 3-point shooter. Back then, 3-point percentage wasn't like it was now. So it was, he
Yeah.
was a sniper at 5'10.
Yeah,
5'10
I
trying to
didn't realize he
pretend.
was that I didn't realize he was that short. I thought he was taller than that to be able to get a shot off like that. Like Del Curry was a great shooter at that in that era. Del Curry was tall. Del Curry was like 6'3", so he could get a shot off. But I'm trying to think of God, I'm trying to remember this other guy. He played at Tennessee in college, and he was a really, really good shooter. He was short, kind of like Barros is. I'm kind of blank. Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis was not a tall guy, and he could shoot the lights out. So, yeah, Barros, I didn't know he played at Boston College. That was a Celtics team that actually made the playoffs. They lost in the first round of the Magic, and then they just absolutely went into the shitter after that. And that's when they hired Rick Pitino.
Well, their team from the eight, well, that was the ML Carr era. Well, the team from the 80s got old. You got aging
No,
Larry
but they were still
Bird.
decent because, and that was why I was surprised when you told me it was Dana Barros, because I thought Reggie Lewis would have been that, but I don't think is Northeastern College in Boston.
Yes, it is.
But he must not have grown up in Boston.
No.
Okay. Yeah, Reggie Lewis was an amazing player who died way too soon. So, but yeah, that's who I was thinking of at first.
Reggie Lewis, I believe, I want to say he was from Maryland or DC, that area. Anywho, here's a name I would just be amazed if you know. I'm just going to go
Okay.
straight up and go Chicago. Dave
Uh-huh.
Corzine.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know who he is. Is that what I like?
A
Are you?
13-year career,
Yeah,
born in the suburbs.
he played at
Um,
DePaul.
he played at
Mm-hmm.
DePaul. 1978 draft, 18th pick. He spent 7 years in Chicago. 7 years, averaged 27 minutes, 9 points, 6 rebounds.
You know why I know him? He was the starting center when Jordan was a rookie, along with or the late Orlando Woolridge.
Mm. And then the 1989 offseason, he was traded to Orlando for 2 second-round picks. One of those second-round picks became Tony Kukoc. However, in his third game in Orlando, he messed up his knee, and that was his career.
Wow.
I did
No,
not think you would get Dave
well, let
Corzine.
me ask: was he white or black? I can't remember.
White.
Yeah, so I always screwed him up with the other tall stiff John
Bill
Concac.
Wennington?
No, Concac, who they used to make fun of by calling him John Contract because he always got good contracts, but he couldn't play. Or he wasn't like a productive player. But he always got contracts because he was tall. Like they always had these big white stiffs that always got big deals, like Mark Eaton. But Corzine, what I remember is this is the reason I remember him, and the only reason. Because of the Paul years, that was in the 80s with Mark Aguirre. I don't know much about that. when Michael scored 63 points against the Celtics in Boston. Corzine was like the center on the court. So Bill Walton would be like leaving leaving Corzine to try to guard Jordan, and he would foul out Bill Walton. That was what I remember about Dave Corzine. Nothing else.
And because I had a backup first for Chicago too, a current player. He was born in the suburbs. Went to high school in suburbs. Went to a D2 college. Transferred to DePaul.
Oh, Javon Liberty Freedom or Javon Freeman Liberty?
No.
Okay.
He had a little tiniest of breaths with the Bulls. He signed a two-way with the Bulls, but tore his ACL and only played 2 games for his hometown Bulls. And then he later resurfaced in Miami.
Oh.
He is current. And then he bounced around. I believe he's in Cleveland now. Max Strus.
Okay. I didn't know he played in Chicago.
Yep, DePaul. He went the whole route. The D2 college, transferred up to the hometown school, got that hometown two-way, and then just injuries. What could have been for Chicago, knowing how they could have.
Oh, he's a good player. Strus is a very good player. Yeah,
could have gotten him cheap. Okay, now we're gonna move south to Dallas.
Okay,
I got 2 quick names for you. He is a 6'6" small forward, born in Dallas, went to high school in Dallas, went to SMU. He had a 7-year career where he was mainly a backup, averaged 18 minutes, 4 points, 2 rebounds. Undrafted in 2003, had a little stint with Dallas, Quentin Ross. And he was part of that big Caron Butler trade when Dallas was bulking up.
Yeah, I didn't even remember Quentin Ross.
Yeah, he did a half season in Dallas before he got shipped out with Drew Gooden, Josh Howard, James Singleton for Caron Butler, Brendan Haywood, and Deshaun Smith. That's why I'm like, I don't think you're going to know him. I'm going to go another player. And this I consider part of Dallas, but every local does not. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is exactly the same thing. They're literally right next to each other, but people from Fort Worth insist it's not Dallas, but he was born in Dallas. He went to high school in Dallas. He went to college at TCU, a Horned Frog.
Okay.
In the 1995 draft, he went number 10 to Miami. He had an 18-year career.
And he played
24 minutes, 8.6 rebounds.
Well, I would think Kurt Thomas.
Kurt Thomas is the player. He's
also in the 1,000 game club, right?
I believe so. He only played 5 games for his hometown Dallas before he got a stress fracture in his ankle. And Don Nelson wanted to sign him as an assistant coach for the time, but he just said, I'm going to go to the Knicks. And then that's where I remember him from. Just a big bruiser.
Remember him with the Knicks because I think he was in the finals with the Knicks. That's why I remember him the most. The other thing too is that until recent years, like Desmond Bane, for example, came from TCU and he's a star now. And there's other players who played in the NBA for TCU, but for the longest, the only players I ever remember who came from TCU and played in the NBA were Kurt Thomas, and the other guy was a guy named Lee Nalon.
Lee Nalon, who was supposed to be the big thing, and I think he was a second-round pick, and he never did anything.
He had the tightest cornrows I've ever seen. Like his cornrows were so tight, but he was like a big body. He was almost like a skinnier tractor trailer. Like that's what he looked like.
Not mistaken now, the pride of TCU is Desmond Bane?
Yes.
Yes.
Desmond Bane. There's a couple others that I could think of that, like the one of the Nemhart brothers played at TCU. So like,
but when you transfer out, it no longer counts because now that everyone plays for like 7 schools, it's really where you came from at the end. Like we don't.
Yeah.
We don't count where you didn't. Stay.
Kenrich Williams played at TCU, who's still in the NBA. Yeah.
There we go. All right, staying in the South Houston. This is another old timer, which you may not know. 10-year career, 21 minutes, 8 points, 5 rebounds. He was a 6'10" center, born in Houston, high school in Houston, went to college in Houston. Yeah,
I know it. You ready?
Yeah.
It's Elvin Hayes.
No.
What? Otis Birdsong?
Dwight Jones.
Oh man, yeah, that's a
The
blast.
1973 draft number.
Well, I knew it was one of those
9
Guy
overall.
Lewis. I knew it was one of those Guy Lewis Houston Cougars. I knew it was one of them. I didn't know it was going to be Dwight Jones. Yeah. You know what I remember about? You know what I remember about Dwight Jones?
What?
He was on the 1972 U.S. team that got screwed out of the gold medal, and he actually got kicked out of the gold medal game for getting into a fight.
I did not. See, this is the point of Andrew Reich, NBA historian. You never know what names you're going to pull up.
And that was the team where Hank Iba, if you remember that guy, he was the head coach, and USSR had a bunch of like grown men basically on their team. And they were better, but we had like Doug Collins and I think Swen Natter was on the team, and I can't remember. Oh God, I think Otis Birdsong was on the team too. But yeah, Dwight Jones was on that team, and he got kicked out of the game for getting to a fight. He also passed away. I just looked him up.
All right, now we're gonna move out west to Utah, and I'm fairly certain you're not gonna get this one, unless you're big into college basketball.
Well, okay,
he's a lifer. So he's a 6'6" small forward, born in Salt Lake City, high school in Salt Lake City, went to Utah. The 1978 draft, he went the second round to Boston. He only had a 5-year career, 12 minutes a game.
You said the 1978 draft?
1978 draft, he was taken in the 1980 expansion draft by the Dallas Mavericks and then cut. So he just went home and signed with the Jazz for 1 year.
This is the New Orleans Jazz, because they didn't move to Utah till 83 or 82, right?
No, I believe it was the Utah Jazz.
So he had played for the Utah Jazz. Okay. Wow, this is tough. I don't remember too many players.
Yeah, the Utah Jazz moved in 1979.
Wow. I thought they moved in the early 80s, but I'm wrong.
No, but I was like, I would have to strike this one from the record if that were the case. I thought I did my research and I have to be fact-checked.
No, I'm surprised New Orleans. I'm surprised the Jazz didn't stay in New Orleans all the way into 1980. It just surprised me.
Again, you're not going to know this name.
This is going to be I'm just going to throw a guess, but I know it's wrong because he played at BYU. Janie Ainge.
No, Jeff Judkins.
No way. I would have guessed that.
Of course not. He was known for being a BYU women's coach for 20 years.
Okay.
After Utah, he became an assistant, the Utah men under Majerus, I believe, and then went to BYU as a women's coach. He was a women's coach for 20 years, and now he's a women's coach at Utah. Just a Utah lifer, obviously. Right. And again, these are
the guy I was thinking of, but was Hana Matala, but I don't think Matala grew up in Utah.
Hana Matala was Finnish.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't from there. And the only other one was maybe Matt Harpring, but I don't think Matt Harpring played.
Matt Harpring went to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, right. So
these are people who leave like for example.
But you gotta understand, when you're thinking of Utah lifers, I'm thinking of white guys. That's what I'm thinking of. Not Jeff Judkins.
Like the closest one, there are many teams who don't have anything, and the closest you just left, but you came back, but you still left, would be Portland and Ime Udoka, who was from Portland. Went to Utah State Community College, San Francisco, then went back to Portland University, and then eventually played for but you still left. You can't leave. Yeah. And that's why he is a close but no cigar category. Moving on to Minnesota, another name not really memorable. He was a first-round pick. He only played 5 years, 10 minutes, didn't do anything. Born in Minneapolis, high school in Minneapolis, University of Minnesota. John Thomas.
John Thomas?
John Thomas.
Was that early 90s?
Late 90s, 97 first-round pick. I knew him because he was in the Celtics for like a minute, and then he was part of the...
I wonder if he played on the Minnesota team that went to the Final Four with Bobby Jackson in 97. He probably did.
He probably did. I just knew him in Boston because he was part of the trade with the Knicks for Chris Mills, and Chris Mills was
Yeah.
injured and never played. And
Kevin McHale doesn't count, right? Because he actually was the general manager.
he never played for the Timberwolves.
I know this, but
that's why
he just about did. He was like the general. He basically ran the franchise.
Front office is not. There's no jersey number for front offices.
Right.
I know that, and it was like he would have been the perfect one. Because this all started off of who played, like who traveled the least, and I'm like, no, let's shrink this down to be people who never left. Because
Minnesota's weird because they had a real divot where now they did have good talent come out of there in the 80s, but there was a real divot there. Other than that 97 team that we're talking about with John Thomas and Bobby Jackson and Gabe and Jacobson, like they had some guys that played, but then there was like this divot where they just didn't have any NBA talent come out of that school at all.
No, Minnesota just being that Big Ten, you're automatically.
I think the last ones were Amir Coffey and Cam Christie. I think those are the most recent ones.
Christie's would be the
most infamous one is Royce White because he actually has a political career now.
Royce White went to Iowa State,
but he did play at a minute. Here's what happened. He had been enrolled in Minnesota. He never played a game there because he got kicked out. He got kicked out for stealing. At a mall. So he never played a game there. Right.
But he went to Iowa State.
Also, Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield played. Was Dave Winfield a Minnesota Twin?
We're not doing baseball here.
I wonder, you know what, man? I wonder Dave Winfield actually got drafted one of those 88 rounds in the NBA draft. I bet he did. No.
Dave Winfield was.
He played, but for those who are wondering why I'm saying that, he played at the University of Minnesota with Kevin McHale and Michael Thompson. And then he wound up having a Hall of Fame baseball career.
He was drafted by 4 teams in 3 different sports. The San Diego Padres selected him as a pitcher with the 4th overall pick. He was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in the 5th round of the NBA draft, and the Utah Stars in the 6th round of the ABA draft.
Yep, that was the Utah Stars. I highly doubt he ever played a minute of pro basketball.
And then just because it is what it is, the Minnesota Vikings selected him in the 17th round of the 1973 NFL draft.
Isn't this the same franchise that signed Brock Lesnar to their preseason roster?
They did, but this was all like, the Colorado Rockies, I believe, drafted Michael Vick in the 30th round. It was just, we're just going
to... John Elway was a Yankee for a minute,
Yeah, so, okay. I did not expect us to go Dave Winfield.
Yeah.
On this. Who knew? All right. We're down to 2 names left in this round. He is currently the NBA Executive VP, head of basketball operations.
Okay. I know it already, but it's okay. Keep going.
You can name it. We're good.
It's James Jones.
Of course it is. Born in Miami, high school in Hialeah.
Went to the Army.
University of Miami. 2nd round pick to Indiana. 14-year career, mostly backup. 15 minutes.
He was a gunner.
Sniper.
3-point sniper. Yep, and he was a really tight with LeBron.
He signed a free agent deal with Miami in 2008, right before LeBron got there. And then he followed LeBron to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then later became the GM of the Suns, whom some people said he did good considering the edicts placed upon him, and some said he
was the GM when they got to the finals in 2021, so he always has that feather in his cap. But I always, Joe Dumars was EVP of the league before that, and before Dumars, it was Stu Jackson for the longest. And I've always felt like that's like when you major in general studies, where it's like, I want to be in school, but I don't know if I'm good enough to actually like get a job or specialize in something. And so I guess Jones knew that his time was coming up in Phoenix because they had to blow it up. And he was like, I'm getting out of here. That's just my guess. But he was a good player. I think he also served in the armed forces while he was between Hawaii and Miami. I mean, it might not be there. And I'm pretty sure one of the coaches he played for was either Leonard Hamilton or Perry Clark, one of the two in Miami. He was a good player, and he was a good 3-point shooter, but
He's a 3-point shooter just off the bench. We need a heat check, come in, score a couple threes, and back out.
he probably averaged less than 11 minutes a game.
He averaged in his entire 14-year career, averaged 15 minutes a game.
Yeah, he barely played, right?
But
he was always around.
Yep. Finally, this round, we have Indiana. Indiana University is an hour and change away. Therefore, none of those players are eligible. So I was surprised to find somebody. I think you already know this answer. The pride of the Summit League.
You go
George
ahead.
Hill.
Yes,
Born in Indy, went to high school in Indy, went to IUPUI.
They call it Yui Pui. Yep.
Yui Pui, the Jaguars. Surprise first round pick to San Antonio. Traded for the draft rights to Kawhi. Spent 6 years total in Indiana. Spent 5 years in his prime, and then he did a quick stint at the end just as a farewell. Did a half season at the end of 2023. George Hill, just a very underrated career. The fact he made it so long and just
a dependable guard, played a lot of playoff games because he played for San Antonio when they were good. He played for Indiana when they were going to the conference finals. He played for Cleveland when they went to the finals. He played for Utah when they went to the playoffs. Like, I'd love to know how many playoff games he played in. Yeah, it has to be over 100.
He played in he played in over 900 games. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
Just short of the 1,000 game club. George Hill played. There's a lot of George Hills.
Mm-hmm.
George Hill played exactly 144 playoff games, averaging 30 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm. He was a dependable player. Like, the coaches trusted him with the ball. He wouldn't turn the ball over too much. He also was a good mid-range shooter.
In his prime in Indiana, he, played 38 minutes a game in the playoffs. Those deep runs they had in 2013 and 2014. Even in Cleveland, getting almost 30 minutes a game there. And no awards for him. Just was there, played a ton of minutes, ton of time. And
I think one time he won Player of the Month. I think one time.
So just real quickly, there are 6 teams who have nobody.
Okay.
Obviously, Toronto is one. We have a couple close ones. So can you think of teams that don't have anybody who fit the criteria of hometown high school, hometown bred, hometown team?
Well, the Lakers.
Who do not.
Yeah, the Lakers probably do not have one, right?
The Lakers have many of them.
Oh, they have many.
Especially if you get to the suburbs, because if you just go to the suburbs of like Chino Hills, you could say Lonzo Ball. You go one hill over, you got Darren Collison. Gail Goodrich was a territorial pick back in the day.
I would say maybe the Washington Wizards. Because I don't know if they had anybody specifically from DC.
The Wizards are a tough one. We'll get to them maybe in another round. Toronto, obviously, because they have
Vancouver.
No universities there. Vancouver is not a team. The Spurs, no one went to University of
UTSA. Yeah.
Only one player did, but he was not from there.
I remember who that was. That was I want to say his name was Derek Brown or Devin Brown.
Yes,
I remember that. So
Sacramento, nobody. There's no real schools in Sacramento.
New Orleans,
nope. They're the close but no cigar with the LSU connection. Sacramento, technically, if you want to go there, they have Bob Weisenhahn, who was a Cincinnati Royal from Cincinnati, went to University. Oklahoma City, nobody went to the University of Oklahoma City, as the 2 main colleges are not there. And Cleveland, the only Cleveland player, I believe Norris Cole, did not play for them or was not from there. Akron is hour and a half, 2 hours away. So those are the teams that do not have it. This was just an exercise of just picking random names for you. And who knew Dave Winfield would come out of that?
Well, I think you were shocked that I knew who Dwight Jones was.
1970s, I did not think you went back that far because...
Well, the memory banks are there. It's just a matter of tapping into them sometimes. Yeah, there was like the Utah Jazz one, That is an ultimate trivia question. No one will ever guess that. And then there are some obvious ones like George Hill with Indiana. Like that's an obvious one. So
Here's an obvious one, and obviously we're gonna get to in the more round. We're gonna get multiple hits of bigger names like Houston. Also had Alton Ford, who played for like 5 games in the league, who nobody remembers.
yeah, there's a certain criteria of like you got to play this many games. Yeah,
you gotta. There's
that,
some. It's a sliding scale. Like, oh, you did a half season at the end, but maybe you'll know it. Next time we'll get to. But like when you get to like the Brooklyns and then Washington's, like it's not like like let's say New Orleans. You have the city, and then you have not the city. I mean, Washington, D.C. is literally surrounded by everything else. Boston is literally surrounded by tons of other cities because they're all so close. New York, technically nobody lives in Manhattan. The Chicago suburbs are freaking huge and are like bigger than like most cities.
And also what kind of basketball hotbed they are. DC's a great one. That's
DC's a great one. Like, but
Kevin Durant was. I know he never played as a Washington player yet, but
well, he also went to Texas. But he was born in DC, but he was from right Maryland.
Chicago's got tons of good players that came from that Illinois area.
But they all go far away. Philly was a hotbed. New York's a hotbed, but they all
Dallas has good players. I think actually Shaq played high school in Texas.
He did play high school in Texas. He was born in Jersey.
Right.
So this is, like I said, very narrow scope we're looking at here. Just keeping your brain active here on these Andrew Reich NBA Historian episodes.
Right.
So, right. All right. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.
All right. Part 2 of Hometown Heroes. I got more names for you. Same deal as last time. Maybe we won't get into baseball this time. I don't know. I mean, you went literally into left field, pulling out.
Yeah, well, you went out of you thought you were going out of left field, and I grabbed it with. I remember one of them was Dwight Jones.
But yep, same concept. More names. We're gonna start out in the East, and when you think of basketball cities that just has a culture of basketball outside of New York and all their boroughs, where do you go to?
Well, Boston.
Boston does not have a homegrown basketball scene.
No, Massachusetts doesn't. But if we're going that way,
Mass has the prep schools.
Pennsylvania would be the next.
Exactly, Philly. Yeah. Philly is known for ballers. They've had, you got Temple, you got Villanova Temple.
I believe Kobe Bryant played there in Philadelphia.
Kobe is from Philly, but yes, Lower Marion High School, famously. Yes. So we'll start with an old one. This one is born in Philly, went to Philly area high schools, LaSalle Explorer.
Okay.
The 1975 NBA draft, he was the 14th overall pick, first round to the Golden State Warriors.
In 1975?
In 1975. His rights were immediately sold to the hometown 76ers. He had an 8-year career, averaged 21 minutes a game, 8.7 points, and 4 rebounds.
That's tough. That means he was on the 77 team that made the finals.
In 1979, he was traded to the San Diego Clippers for a very distant 1986 first-round pick, which turned out to be the number 1 pick overall. That's what happens when you trade that far in the future. It could be but yes, 4 years in Philly. From Philly, went to LaSalle.
I'm gonna say one. It's the only one I can think of that play, because I'm thinking really of that 77 team that, for those who don't know, the 77 is a perennial year for the NBA because that was the first year after they merged with the ABA, and they basically took all the ABA's players and they retained a few of the ABA teams and brought them in. And Dr. J went from the New York, New Jersey Nets, whatever they were called at the time in the ABA. He went to Philly, and they were coached by Gene Shue, and they were an excellent team, and they lost to the another really good team, the Blazers, and it's still to this day the only NBA title the Blazers ever won with the late Bill Walton. And I'm thinking of like the supporting players that he had, and one name comes to mind that's random, and I'm just gonna guess it, and if it's wrong, it's wrong, and you can tell me the answer, okay?
Okay.
Caldwell Jones.
No, you had this. I teed this all up and I queued it up for you based
Mm-hmm.
upon your previous comments,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the intro.
Oh, it couldn't have been his dad, Joe Bryant.
Joe Bryant.
Joe Bryant averaged 9 points a game. That's kind. Jelly
Eh,
bean.
Jellybean Bryant,
Wow.
8.7 points, 8-year career before he went off to Europe and then became a coach all over.
Yeah, when he was in when he was raising Kobe, he was in Italy
Yep,
because
and Kobe was
that's how Kobe learned
practicing.
Italian. He said,
Yep.
yeah. He also had a weird falling out after the rape trial. He had a falling out with his dad for a few years. I remember that too. I believe Joe recently passed away.
Correct.
Yes. I mean, this was after Kobe's death, obviously, but
Well,
he
yes,
did
he
pass
died
away.
last year in
Mhm.
2024.
I
No,
don't
in
remember much
Philly,
about him as a player, though. I really
in
don't.
Philly, he was just a bench guy. He averaged 15, 16 minutes a game. Then when he traded to San Diego, he became somewhat of a starter,
Mhm.
starting most games before.
Well, I knew it wasn't Daryl Dawkins because Daryl Dawkins never played in college. He came out of high school. He played on the Philly team too. Billy Cunningham, obviously, but I know Billy Cunningham played in North Carolina. He didn't play at LaSalle.
And I thought that was gonna be the easy one, just teeing it
No, that was
off to
tough.
you.
That's actually tougher than I thought.
Only because you mentioned Kobe, I figured it would have been on your brain. And
Nah.
okay, fine. I will give you the softest of softballs. He is from Philly, went to high school in Philly, went to Villanova. 2006 first round pick to Memphis.
Okay. You want me to tell you now?
I mean, you can,
Kyle Lowry.
of course.
I mean, yeah, he was in Memphis, and it's crazy too about Kyle Lowry. I mean, here, let me ask you this. I know that it's the Naismith Hall of Fame, so their criteria is a lot looser than baseball. Would you consider Kyle Lowry a Hall of Fame player?
No,
Okay. I'm just asking. Kyle Lowry was traded, I think, 3 times in the first 5 years of his career.
he was. Well, yes.
So he played for Memphis, Rockets, went back to Memphis, and then he was traded to the Raptors.
No, he was traded from the Rockets to Toronto.
Okay, so twice.
Yeah, he was in Memphis, and it was him and Connolly.
Mm-hmm.
So Connolly, obviously, you're going to take being the number 4 pick. So they flipped him
Mm-hmm.
to the Rockets, where he kind of blew up. There, I remember. What was it? He was from Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks, yeah. Aaron Brooks was there. That was when Morey first took over.
So in Houston, he went from, the bench backing up Brooks to being the starter. And then Toronto was bulking up and they got him to be their starting point guard. They traded, I want to say it was like a first round pick
Yeah, I
for.
remember at the time they acquired Rudy Gay. But DeRozan had been drafted in 2009, and they realized after about year 3, like DeRozan was a star. And that was kind of those were the 2 pillars of the team as it went along, Lowry and DeRozan. So, and also credit to he's not there anymore, coach GMing, but credit to Masai Ujiri. He kind of helped build that up. I'll tell you another funny thing about the Memphis years, the very beginning for Kyle. Do you remember the Spanish guard who was also in that backcourt, and he only played for 1 year and left because he knew he wasn't going to get playing time
in
Memphis?
Memphis.
Yes. So they drafted Conley, and they had Lowry before they traded him, and they had a Spanish guard. He only played for about
Juan Carlos Navarro.
Yep, JC La Bamba Navarro. He played a couple of years. He's like, all right, I'm this ain't for me, and he went back to EuroLeague, and he became a legend in EuroLeague.
Well, that's usually what happened. They have a nice career out there. I want to go to the NBA. Well, you're getting DNPs.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he wasn't like Pablo Prigioni where he just like toiled forever.
Well, Pablo Prigioni came over when he was like 38 or 30. He came over late 30s.
Like Rudy Fernandez. Like he didn't stick around for too long.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Like, well, I could be a star out there. Why would I want to be on the bench? I didn't grow up in this lifestyle. I grew up, being a professional at 15, practicing with the, senior team as opposed to being in high school and going the AAU circuit. So they're like,
and the craziest thing for Kyle Lowry was that when he was in Villanova, they were guard you. They had their backcourt was very good. But the guys I believe got picked ahead of him were Alan Ray and Randy Foy. Foy played for a long time.
Foy played for Alan Ray, I believe, was either a second-round pick or did not get drafted.
I'll never forget this. Alan Ray was the one who almost got his eye poked out in the conference tournament because it's like one of those gross moments in basketball, like Kevin Ware's leg. But and then they had this little white guard named Mike Nardi, who was just a 3-point shooter. Lowry was good, but I think he was a 4-year player at Villanova. If he left early, he left as a junior in Villanova. He was older when he got into the NBA. That's why I'm shocked he's still playing. He's got to be 40 years old.
Kyle Lowry is currently 39.
I mean, yeah, he's played a long while, and he also won 2 gold medals.
He did come out as a junior.
Yeah.
He's a lot of mileage on those legs. That's why he's just content.
Won a title with Toronto.
Being at the end of the bench, he tried in Miami, and then whatever, we're moving on. Another Philly guy, the last Philly guy on the list. We are now moving to Temple Owl.
Okay.
He was a first-round pick in 1994, number 17 to Portland.
Okay.
He had a very long career.
And you said he was drafted in 94?
Drafted in 94. 13-year career. Averaged 24 minutes, 7.4 points, 35% from 3. He was the 2001 Sixth Man of the Year.
I think I know who it is. Yeah, I think I got it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron McKee.
It is Aaron McKee.
Yeah. You know what I remember about Aaron McKee? He was the 6th man of the year. Other than Mutombo, who they acquired in a trade, he was their second. He was probably the Sixers' second best player when they went to the finals that year. Iverson was the MVP of the league, but they got dominated by the Lakers. But Aaron McKee was on that team, and that
was just the Iverson years, and he came in as the sixth man just to keep the things going. And
yeah, I always mixed him up when I was little with Derek McKee, which was spelled differently. But Derek McKee was a big guy. Aaron McKee was a guard, like you said. He shot 35% from 3. I was also thinking of Eddie Jones, but I know Jones averaged way more points than that as a player. But he also played at Temple. I don't think he ever played with the Sixers, though.
I also don't think he was from
Philly. He wasn't from Philadelphia either, probably. Look, man, John Chaney, we've seen that viral clip. I think also, by the way, I think he's passed away, right? John Chaney?
Yeah.
Rest in peace to him. He was an outrageous, wild guy. He wanted to fight everybody, but he knew how to recruit. He could get some good players to go to that Temple, and nobody wanted to go to Temple before John Chaney got there. But he had some good teams. I remember they had a guy. I mean, this is totally unrelated, but before the McKee years, they had a really good team, and their best player was a guy named Mark Macon. And I don't even remember if he played a lot in the NBA. I think he played a little bit with the Clippers, but I just remember that he was like he was probably Temple's best player until the years that they got Witherspoon and McKee and Eddie Jones. Also, McKee was on the Temple team that almost beat Michigan's Fab Five in the NCAA tournament. So
Always played very tenacious D,
yes,
very gritty,
he
and
he had a beard. I remember he had like that dark beard. He looked like someone you didn't want to mess. He looked like God damn it, Terry Cummings. He looked like that's the kind of dude you just did not want to mess with. An old
no,
head.
you're thinking of Mike Jarvis. Cheney just looked like he never slept.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like I'm talking about McKee. Like these are the kind of players that like
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
they're almost like they're almost enforcers. Like you don't want to mess with them.
Agreed. Speaking of another tough town, which we mentioned in the intro, moving on to New York. New York is a very difficult one to do because it's not like a normal
So
city
many point
because
guards coming out of Rucker Park in back in the day.
but technically nobody's from Manhattan and there are no schools in Manhattan, so you can't really be technically Manhattan born and bred or Brooklyn because there's no schools in Brooklyn other than LIU Brooklyn. So
Mm-hmm.
the metro New York City area, we got two people, both of which again, we're going to be very easy on this.
Okay.
First one from Brooklyn, high school in Brooklyn, went to school at St. John's, which is in Queens.
Okay.
1987 draft, hometown New York Knicks, number 18. 17-year career, 9.6 points, 8 assists. 7 years in New York, rookie of the year, 1987-88 season.
Okay. It was giving me. I had to take a second to think about it, but it's probably Mark Jackson.
It is Mark Jackson.
Yeah, he was a rookie of the year. He, God, man, he was a great assist man. Uh, Solid defender. A lot of younger people just know him as the guy who says, "Mama, there goes that man," and what happened to the game that I love. In the memes, but Jackson was a really good player. Also had great years in Indiana.
Yeah,
Um,
great point guard. I don't know what he did in Golden State to not get a second job.
Not win a playoffs. Well, you know what's funny? He did win a playoff series the year before that. Like they beat the Nuggets and then they lost to the Spurs. Then they have a 7-game epic with the Warriors and they lost in 7 games and he gets fired. It's
But you
like
have far worse coaches getting second jobs and keeping their jobs longer. I don't know whether
I gotta think it was a player mutiny situation because I
it
remember
was a player mutiny, but I'm saying
I
what
remember that
happened.
I remember that one issue that happened. I don't remember who it was, but there was an assistant coach. It may have been Darren Ehrman who basically was ratting him out and he fired him.
But I don't know how bad it was where he doesn't even get interviews. And he had said like, "Oh yeah, I want to coach again," but I don't know what he did or how bad it really had to have been for it to.
It had to be one of the weirdest moments because he was back on the call announcing ESPN games and he was calling the finals the year after he coached them and they won the championship with Steve Kerr. That had to be so strange to watch.
It it really was sort of bizarre. But New York, we have another simple one. Although I'm not sure if you will get from Queens. Went to high school in Manhattan, then to St. John's. 1999 NBA draft, first round, number 16 to Chicago.
Well, yeah, I know it. It's Ron Artest, Meta World Peace.
Whatever his, no, it's Meta something Artest now.
Oh, really? Okay.
He took his new wife.
Is he playing for the Big Three now? I don't know.
He was playing with the Big Three, but 2004 Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Dude, Ron Artest, Meta World Peace. Really good player. Like really good in his prime.
Just that 80s throwback defensive, like you mentioned with Philly.
Also
just
a psycho.
Goon.
Yeah, also
that's
what I'm about to say, like a psycho, like one that you did not want to fuck
that
with.
Draymond, Kevin Garnett, the Bill Laimbeer, just don't F with me.
Yeah, grind your gears type of guy. He bounced around obviously because he always had character issues. Even when he was the best player on the team, he would get traded, but I remember 2 things about him. I mean, other than obviously the malice in the palace. Number 1, Tracy McGrady never went never won a playoff series where he was the best player on his team when he was in Orlando or when he was in Houston. So McGrady plays 3 straight years where he can't even get out of the first round. Ron Artest gets traded there to Houston with Yao Ming, and they win their first round series, and they went 7 games with a Lakers team that they had no business being close against. Also, Kyle Lowry was on that team. That just showed me how good Ron Artest was in his prime. Artest goes to the Lakers the next year. They play a 7-game final against the Celtics, and Ron Artest was the best player. He guarded Pierce the whole game, and he made the biggest shots. Kobe went 4 for 24 in that game. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for Artest.
He went to the Knicks at the end of his career.
He did, yes.
He was already 34. They signed him for a 2-year deal and bought him out.
I think by that time he was named Meta World Peace. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he went to China the year after. It changed his name to the Panda's Friend, and he had already burnt through a lot. But in his career, 17 years, 991 games, averaged 31 minutes.
Yeah, and he changed his number. How many times did he change his number? Like 5, 6 times? He did. I remember. Well, his first number was 15. Then he went to 23. Then I can't remember the one he wore in Houston, but I remember the one he wore in LA. It was 37, and it was in tribute to Michael Jackson Thriller, because Michael Jackson died that year. It was for Michael Jackson's Thriller being number 1 in Billboard 37 weeks in a row. Then he wore 91 in honor of Rodman.
91, then 93, then 96. You mentioned 37. He went back to 15 at the Lakers, and then New York, he ended with 51.
51?
Because
I'm just trying to figure out why he came up with these numbers, but he's just...
Well, 15 was taken from New York.
So he flipped it. He was a good player, man. Defensive stalwart, obviously. One of the very few guards that won DPOY at the time. I mean, big men always won Defensive Player of the Year until Artest won it. Malice obviously blackballed him in some ways, but he was still a good player in spite of it.
Obviously, the Knicks retired number 15 for Earl Monroe.
Yes.
So he couldn't get 15.
Another New York guy, but he didn't play. I don't think he played college in New York. Talking about Earl the Pearl.
Earl Monroe was from Philly. Okay. Went to school at Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, he played
nothing even close to being local.
Yeah, but I mean, he basically lived in Rucker Park. Stephon Marbury comes to mind, but he played at Georgia Tech. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. Kenny Anderson, another Georgia Tech guy. I'm just thinking of guys who grew up in New York, who played for New York. Melo, obviously. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Who we're going to go to a little more difficult. We're upping the difficulty level now. We're moving to Detroit. Okay. One's a cheat pick. The other two are extremely similar. So you have to put on your old school hat.
Okay.
Well, Detroit, I was surprised to find a couple names from this town because the only school there is obviously the University of Detroit. Detroit Mercy.
Detroit Mercy.
Because Michigan State and Michigan are both not in Detroit limits. So 1978 draft, the second round, first pick, number 23 to Detroit, coached by Dick Vitale, who was the coach at University of Detroit Mercy, and then he went to the Pistons. So what a shock. He picked his guy. 11-year career, 25 minutes a game, 871 games total, 10 points, 5 rebounds.
That's not bad.
He was in Detroit for 7 years.
So he was for 7 years. And what year was he drafted?
78.
Give me a second. I gotta think. All right. I'll. This ain't the name. Give me just a second to think about it. And you said he played for how many years?
He played for 11 years.
11 years. I'll give you a name.
Off at Detroit, went to Sacramento, and ended up in Dallas.
Wait, what? Say that again?
He was in Detroit from 78 to 85, and then he went off to Sacramento for a couple of years.
And then Dallas. This probably isn't it. but I'll just give you the name, okay? Kelly Tripucka.
No, Terry Tyler.
Would never gotten it. Sorry. Terry Tyler. Okay. Yeah, the Kings. I remember those. If I'm thinking about the Kings during that years, that was right when they moved to Sacramento, when they were making that California migration, and they had that really awful jersey where it was just in script, and it was blue and white. He must have been playing with the Kings around those years with Kenny Smith.
Okay, we're gonna keep the difficulty on high.
Okay.
From Romulus, Michigan, which is where the airport is. High school in Romulus, Michigan, Detroit Mercy. 1978.
Oh, again?
Draft, second round pick. 29th overall. Drafted by the Detroit Pistons. 14-year career, 13.6 points. He had three stints. He was there for 3 stints with Detroit. First stint was for 8 years. Then in September of 86, he was traded to Seattle for 2 second-round picks. 3 days later, traded him to Indiana by attaching a second-round pick to him for a couple of end-of-bench players. He was in Indiana for a couple of years, waived by Indiana in 89, signed with Detroit, won a title there.
In 90, the second year.
In 90. And then he played till the age of 40. Year career. Age 40, he played for Toronto in 96, 97.
Oh, wow. And he was 40, so he played all the way to 40, 96, 97. Played at Detroit Mercy. I'm thinking of a guy, but I know it's not him. I'll just tell you the name I was thinking of, but because I know it's wrong, James Edwards, but it's not him.
John Long.
Okay, I've heard of John Long before. So he was on those teams in Detroit when Chuck Daly first got there, and when Isaiah Thomas was drafted, where they were like a super high scoring team. In fact, I'm pretty sure John Long was on the Detroit Piston team when they and the Nuggets had, I think to this day, the highest scoring game in NBA history, which was, I think, in 1984 or 83, one of the two.
So yeah, and his nephews are Terry Mills and Grant Long, who also played in the
Terry Mills. Yeah, he won a national title with Michigan. I just looked it up. You want to hear the final score of that game? The one I'm talking about. It was December 13th, 1983. The final score: Detroit beat Denver 186-184 in triple overtime.
Wow.
John Long, 41 points, 18 of 25. Okay. And you know what's funny? He wasn't even the leading scorer. Isaiah Thomas had 47 points and 17 assists.
Yep, he was in to compliment Isaiah Okay, now we're gonna go. This is sort of a cheating one. But we'll just toss it in.
Okay.
Detroit High School, Detroit Mercy. He was a territorial pick of the 1962 NBA draft.
Okay.
To Detroit. He had a 12-year career where he averaged 16 points and 11 rebounds.
So he played from 63 to 75.
Mm-hmm. He played in Detroit for half his career, where he played for and was also the coach of the Detroit Pistons. And then he went to New York, where he became much more famous.
Well, that just gave it away. Dave DeBusschere.
2-time NBA champion, 8-time All-Star, 6-time All-Defensive First Team. Hall of Fame, anniversary, top 75, top 50.
The guy who was like sweating it out in the first ever NBA lottery when they won. Actually not when they won, when David Stern practically gave the number 1 pick to the Knicks for Patrick Ewing. With the frozen envelope, and Dave DeBusschere is just sitting there with his white hair, just fucking sweating it out. And then he just did this like clap when he figured out that they won it.
Yeah, it's cheating because he wasn't really drafted. The NBA just gave him to the local team.
They
But
had like how many rounds? Like 11, 13, some crazy number.
great career.
The Busher was a legitimately. I mean, you said the stats. Like he was a really good player. He was a key player on the teams that won in 70 and 73.
Top 75 player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on him?
No, if I had to guess, he probably wasn't even the best player at that time. I think I I could be wrong about this, but he may have played around the same time in Detroit as Dave Bing, who until Isaiah Thomas was the best player that Detroit ever had.
Well, it was New York with all the other.
Yeah, but I can't remember Bing played and DeBusschere played together in Detroit. I might be wrong about that, but Bing was number one for a long time in Detroit, and Fort Wayne because they were originally the Fort Wayne Pistons, and then Isaiah showed up, and that I still to this day think, yeah, I have no problem saying it. I still think to this day Isaiah Thomas is the greatest Detroit Piston of all time.
We are going to move on to the Midwest now. We got a quick little layover in Memphis. No, Penny Hardaway does not count because he did not play for the Grizzlies.
No, we didn't.
Although he coached for the University of Memphis, or still coaches. So
he's still there, yeah.
Technically, if we did an NCAA team locals, he would be the first team all hometown team guy. But this guy, Memphis High School, University of Memphis, not Memphis State. Memphis State changed their name to University of Memphis in 1994.
Okay.
He was there for 3 years. The first round, number 6 overall pick to the Clippers. Had a 13-year career, 8 points, 6.5 rebounds. He was in Memphis for 5 years. He was again.
What year was he drafted?
1996.
96. Okay.
He went. It was the Clippers. Then he went straight to Atlanta. Or he went to Atlanta. Atlanta traded him to Vancouver on the draft day, 2001, with Paul Gasol. 1 week later, the team was approved to move to Memphis. So he wasn't even slated to become a hometown hero until Memphis won the relocation lottery, which I believe Louisville and Anaheim was up there. But Memphis won, so hometown hero from Memphis.
I think I know it. I think there's a longer story to tell here if it's who I'm thinking of.
Yes, it is who you're thinking of.
Lorenzen Wright.
Yes, Lorenzen Wright with the
Unfortunately, you can tell me his stats, and he was a good player. He really was. I always mixed him up thinking he played in Arizona, but I always mixed him up with another player who played there named Michael Wright. But Lorenzen was a good player. That 96 draft class is famous. That's the one that had Kobe and Iverson and Steve Nash and Sharif Abdur-Rahim. It was a very, very good rookie class. But
my mistake, he went number 7 overall to Memphis.
He was a high pick. He was very people in Memphis wanted him. Or people who the NBA scouts liked him a lot. I even remember Kerry Kittles being in that draft class. But he averaged like a double for a couple of years, and when he was in Vancouver, even he was not or Atlanta, even he was not a bad player.
He was just close.
He played on bad teams. He played on really bad teams.
That was what it was. He played on bad teams, and then
and the stats are great, but that's not what people remember about Lorenzen Wright. They remember that he was murdered by his ex-girlfriend.
By his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Who he called 911, and apparently the 911 dispatcher didn't report that for 8.
And it was a cold case. It was a cold case for, I think, 10 years plus. She was just convicted maybe a year ago.
It did take a while to undo it because of all the delays of everything. And yeah, it was a bizarre tale where his ex-wife was shacking up with the minister of her church, who was also a groundskeeper, and they wanted his life insurance policy. So again, a night very unfortunate.
Very sad. But he was a good player. He was a good player. He just played on bad, forgettable teams. He never got an opportunity to play for a good team. That's why people don't remember him in the NBA. But he was a good player in Memphis.
Memphis, he didn't even know he was going home until Memphis decided to relocate. And you said
he went with Gasol to Memphis?
Yes.
Yeah, Gasol won the Rookie of the Year that year. I mean, I had never seen a good Spanish NBA player before that. That's when I was like, oh, wow, there are good players in Spain.
Well, that's the start of for the 92 Dream Team. So it takes a while for the youth leagues to start going. So he was
Yeah.
the first product out, and then Spain became a basketball powerhouse since then. Okay, now we're gonna settle in quietly with our final destination of Los Angeles.
Okay.
We have a lot of these because LA, as you know, is a very, very big city. So it's at what point does it drop off? And it's like I found Lonzo Ball is the drop off, as Chino Hills is not part of LA. So he is not on here. So do you want to go Clippers or Lakers?
Let's go with the Clippers to start.
Let's go with the Clippers to start. All right. We have LA South Central. He went to high school in Santa Monica. He went to UCLA. And I can end it right here because this should be the easiest one. The 1999 draft, number 3 to Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Baron Davis.
13-year career, 16 points, 7.2 assists, average 1.8 steals for his career in 34 minutes, even at the end.
Dude, before his knees went out on him, awesome athlete. Awesome. Like, he was the most athletic point guard in the league for a minute.
And then what he's really sadly famously known for is he signed with his hometown Clippers thinking he would be the guy. And then after 2.5 years, they had to attach a first to dump him to Cleveland, which wound up being the number 1 overall pick again, which turned out to be Kyrie.
Then he got bought out. He played for the Knicks and he broke his kneecap, and that was the end of his career. Also dated Laura Dern? ? That's a rumor. And the other one is that that same year he was traded during the All-Star break, he did the alley-oop to Blake Griffin from the sunroof of a car.
Yep, from a Kia something or another.
Yes, he was a really good player.
He was good. That's
a little selfish, a bit of an egomaniac. Like, whenever he was at a team, he wanted to run the show.
And when he didn't, things.
One of the all-time dunks too on Kirilenko in the
did not go well.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna stay with the Clippers. We're gonna go. Let's go a little more difficult.
Okay.
From Pasadena, which is up in the hills. No, Pasadena is where the Rose Bowl is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of Palisades Park. From Pasadena, high school in Pasadena, UCLA, 2006 NBA draft, second round, number 50th overall to Charlotte. He had a 10-year career, average 11.8 minutes, 3.5 points, two rebounds. Basically was just a big guy at the end of the bench, but managed to last 10 years. Did 2 years at the Clips.
I know who it is. Actually, I say that with caution because they had a couple of big guys on that UCLA. I remember that first of all, the reason I remember that UCLA team is because they beat LSU in the Final Four, where LSU couldn't make a shot to save their life. But I remember who their big man was. His name was Ryan Hollins.
Very good.
Yes. He now works for CBS Sports. Calling just basketball games.
Big guy at the end of the bench, bounced around to a lot of teams.
Played for the Celtics too.
Yep, he played there for a year where he...
the reason why I had to pause is because I was thinking also of another big guy who played UCLA, Dan Gadzuric, but it wasn't him. Gadzuric played a little earlier than that.
Yes. All right. Moving on, staying with the Clippers. From LA, high school in LA, USC. First round pick, 2007, number 16 to the Washington Wizards.
Okay.
You already know it.
Yeah, it's Nick Young.
Swaggy P.
Won an NBA title with the Warriors. People forget.
Yep, 5 years with the Wizards.
Now he's known for popping off on podcasts with Gilbert Arenas.
He is one of the rare people who he's
probably more famous as a celebrity than as a basketball player.
His personality was basically cost him his career because he was still, I believe, very functional at the end.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the meme where he turns around thinking he sunk a 3-pointer and it clanks. Who was that famous woman he dated? I'm drawing a blank. Was it Kim Kardashian?
No, it was Iggy Azalea.
Iggy Azalea.
Azalea.
And had that infamous fallout with D'Angelo Russell. But and the question mark meme, the one where he looks confused. But he was a good player. I mean, tell me his numbers.
22 and a half minutes.
Probably 15 points.
11 points, 37% from 3.
Yeah.
So
the player who reminds me of him that plays now is Kelly Oubre. Oubre's probably better defensively than Nick Young was, but Nick kind of has that same like vibe of like he might make 6 threes in the game out of nowhere.
So let's move to the Lakers now.
Okay.
This will be the easiest one of all. From LA. Went to high school in LA. Went to USC. The 2007 NBA draft, number 16 to Washington.
Well, yeah, it's Nick Young again, right?
He played for both.
He played for both, yes, because
he played for.
It was with the Lakers that he did the Iggy Azalea, D'Angelo Russell drama happened. Yeah,
he played for both, yes, and I have another one coming up who played for both.
Okay,
but so we'll go to him next.
All right,
I figure I'd just sneak the Swaggy P one. From LA, went to famous Woodland Hills High School, UCLA. 2006 NBA draft, first round pick, number.
Well, I know who it is.
Okay. 2006 NBA draft, first round, number 26 to the Lakers.
They had 2 guys who played in the NBA for a long time from that backcourt. One was Aaron Aflalo. I know it wasn't him, though, because I don't think he ever played for the Lakers. So I'll go with the other guy, and that was Jordan Farmar.
Yep. Jordan Farmar had 2 stints with the Lakers, 10-year career, 19 and a half minutes, 7.7 points.
I think he's a scout he's either a scout or an assistant coach now, one of the two.
Also 37% from 3. Also had a stint with the Clippers.
I didn't know he played for the Clippers. I didn't know that.
He played for the Clippers. He went to Europe in 2012 and 2013. In 2014, he signed with the Clippers, and they bought him out halfway into the season because he didn't mesh with that team at all. So he is both.
I also remember he was the best man in Chris Humphrey's wedding when he got married to Kim Kardashian or whatever they were, the best friends or whatever.
So he solid backup. I remember him in his Nets era where he was
very fast. He also had a pretty big fro. Like his hair sprouted up like Sideshow Bob, but he was a quick player. He was the backup point guard behind Derek Fisher when they won the title in 2009, when the
backup
Lakers
behind Derek Fisher, backup behind Jason Kidd.
Then he wound up in Brooklyn,
backup behind Chris Paul in the Clippers, and then the end of his career he just didn't do much, having a short stint with Memphis and 2 games with Sacramento at the end. Yeah. Okay, I got 2 more for the Lakers. One's a cheating one, as he was a territorial pick in the 1965 NBA draft. LA to UCLA, obviously. 14-year career, 18.6 points. 3 years in LA, 1968, Phoenix picked him in the expansion draft, but in 1970 they traded him back to LA, and he became a 1972 NBA champion, 5-time All-Star, one of the many Lakers Hall of Famers.
I know who it is. I know who it is because you said he was UCLA, and he had one of the greatest national championship performances ever. His name was Gail Goodrich.
It is Gail Goodrich.
Also, he was you forgot to mention this. He was part of one of the most infamous trades of all time involving the New Orleans Jazz, where the Jazz basically gave up the pick that became Magic Johnson.
A lot of just protect your firsts.
So true.
You never know how bad you're going to 5 or 7 years from now.
But Goodrich was a very good player. and the 72 team he played for, he was it's so weird because Elgin Baylor, he doesn't count because he played in Seattle, obviously. He retired early into that season, but that was the best season the Lakers had ever had up to that point. They were the team that had the most wins in the regular season before the Bulls broke it in 96. And Goodrich, I think, was the second leading scorer on that team. It was either him, he was either second or third behind Wilt and Jerry West.
I mean, the Lakers just had so many.
It was an
Just
excellent
a
team, yeah.
awesome talent throughout just like the Celtics, just a
Everybody wanted to go there.
bevy of talent throughout the decades and such. And that brings the end of LA and this. Like again, you have Lonzo Ball, Tristan Chino Hills. I believe the next town over is Darren Collison, who was. But it's hard to tell because
another one I was thinking of was Gary Payton, but Gary Payton came from Oakland.
He came from Oakland and went to Oregon State.
Oregon State, yeah.
Which is neither of which are LA.
Ariza was another one I thought of. If I had to think of other ones.
Trevor Ariza.
But he may not have come from California.
Where is Trevor Ariza from? Trevor Ariza is from... Nope, he was born in Miami. That's how I missed it.
That's why.
I didn't miss it. I'm like, oh, he went to LA high school, but
yeah,
born in Miami, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them like that. You know, a lot of people like, especially like the thing about UCLA, especially between the 60s and 70s, so many freaking players went there that went to the NBA. It's like ridiculous. You know, there are players that obviously went to other teams that were excellent players. Sidney Wicks, you know, Bill Walton, Dan Roundfield, Swen Nader, like it's endless. It's endless how many good UCLA players went to the NBA between the 60s and 70s.
Correct. One quick note about Trevor Ariza. His son, Taj Ariza, 5-star recruit, class of 2026.
You want to feel really old? Gilbert Arenas' son, Elijah, is playing, I believe, at USC.
Gilbert Arenas, yes, he got into...
Or Arizona, one of the two. Well,
it is. And he crashed his Cybertruck and was in a coma for like a week.
I heard about that, yes.
But yeah, you start feeling old when these NBA players that you remember are now having... like Boozer's 2 kids are the top recruits in next year, and it's just like, oh no. And then, like you said, Ariza, Melo's kid just picked his college. And...
one of Wade's kids, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, like you start feeling really, really old. Like it happens when you get to our age, when you start seeing like, I'm literally watching Garrett Nussmeier as the starting quarterback who might go to the NFL draft, and I still remember his dad Doug as a quarterback. You know,
there we have it. That's the part 2 of the. Yeah, that's most. There's a couple who are like they played one game at the end of their career, and it's like
there's got to be a criteria of how
players who. Yeah. Like, what about this guy? Oh, nope. Turned out he wasn't one that turned out. Oh, nope. He went to school elsewhere. And the narrowest of narrow criterias, and just jogging your memory just a little bit. So we will be back probably next week with another current episode. And thanks for listening. For Andrew Reich, I'm Adam Murray. Have a good one.
See y'all later.